Hi, everyone. It's Javonna MaeRhys, your work-life balance coach. And today we're going to be talking about why everyone is silently pissed off and what that's doing to us as Black women. So for those of you who are new here watching live on Instagram, hi Maya, you'll see me moving to two places because I'm on YouTube and on Instagram at the same time. Hi Yvette, thanks for being here. But we're going to be talking about what is it to unleash our anger, because we have reasons to be angry, and we also have reasons why we think that anger has to be silenced. And if you saw, so many of us saw, and I shared as well, we saw that article on Instagram that talked about how anger is silently, it's killing us, right? And so what we're going to talk about first is what I just said here, which is that being angry is killing us. According to that article that I'll link in the description, hi, up, rise up, man. Thanks for being here. But as we go through this, I'll be referencing this article because it talked about how silently being angry is leading to more autoimmune diseases in women of color, especially. And so when you are not able to express your anger, it is doing something within you. If you've read that book, The Body Keeps the Score, the body definitely keeps the score, and being silently angry can come back to kill you. I mean, point blank, And so what can we do about it? How can we unleash our anger? And what does unleashing your anger look like? I was listening to Dr. Raquel Martin, and she was saying, does it mean we can just cuss out anybody we want? As much as we want to sometimes, take somebody and shake them real good or cuss them out. That's not what I'm advocating here. I'm advocating that we unleash our anger in a way that is going to serve us and keep us from holding in this anger and making it into, like, I imagine it like a tight ball, like a ball that just gets harder and harder the more that we compress it, but it never turns into a diamond, right? And so the thing that I advocate is that we first understand what our anger is. And if you've been doing any, self-work, you've probably already heard of the anger iceberg. And it's a concept that, much like an iceberg, the anger is what we see on the surface, but beneath that, there are other feelings, right? And so let me see if I can show you guys, if I can share a screen here to give you a visual representation. Let's see. Here we go. Okay, so yeah, here is the anger iceberg. And so on the top level, we've got anger. But then underneath that, the top part is the situation that's triggering the anger that we have. But then once we get beneath that, we've got hurt and unmet needs. Maybe we feel disrespected. Maybe we feel exhausted. Maybe we feel trapped, regret. All of these feelings are the things that are beneath the anger that we have. And then on that bottom level is fear. And so let's take a look at what this can look like. And what I want you guys to do is I want you to think about a situation that caused you to feel angry. For example, if you had a meeting and your boss in front of everybody is talking about the things that needed to be improved and didn't say anything about what went well or what you're doing well, you're going to feel angry about that, right? Your heart is going to start beating a little bit faster. Your cheeks might flush. You're not going to feel good about that situation. That's your top level, right? But then when you go deeper, there's a hurt there, right? And so you need to think about why you feel hurt. And in the example that I gave, it might be I felt hurt because my boss ignored all of my accomplishments. I take my work seriously, I work hard, and it's unfair to ignore that. And then if we go even deeper, there's unmet needs there. Maybe you need more praise for things that went well and to receive credit for all of the hours, all of the time that you are putting in. And let me just say that this concept is practical and works as you evaluate any situation, whether it's with your spouse or it's with your kids or it's with your friend. Whenever you're feeling angry, this is kind of a mindfulness technique that you can use to take care of yourself, right? When you feel bad, you first need to take care of yourself. I'm not saying that you're going to stop when you're feeling angry and you're going to start thinking, okay, top of the iceberg. You're not going to do that because you're mad. Okay, so get yourself to a place where you can take care of yourself, give yourself some care for those feelings and acknowledge those feelings. And once you're ready to start processing them, because it takes some of us longer to process than others. Once you're ready to start processing those feelings, take yourself through this process. What was the thing that triggered your anger? And then what is beneath that? And then what is beneath that? And journaling is something that can definitely help you with processing those feelings. So I would suggest that as well. Now, once we have processed our feelings and we understand what is at the bottom of that feeling of anger, what do we do about it? Okay, so we figured out why we're angry. We figured out what triggered it. We figured out, what we need. What is the next step that we can do to, hey, Rashida, hey, Brittany, thanks for being here. What's the next step that we can do to move on, right? To further take care of ourselves. Well, when I'm working with my clients, because we're working with figuring out how to balance our lives. And so there are going to be things that piss us off at work. There are going to be things that piss us off at home. And as we are trying to build a life that we love and be the best version of ourselves, how can we recalibrate? How can we have strategies that we can use when we get in these situations? Because you can't go through life without being pissed off, right? Somebody somewhere is going to do something, in some places more than others. So what can you do? So when I'm working with my clients, one of the things that we talk about, of course, is what I just talked with you guys about, working through that anger iceberg and really understanding the crux of the thing that is triggering us and is making us feel angry. And then we take a look at what's beneath that and then what is beneath that. And then we look at strategies that we can definitely use in the moment. Actually, before that, we look at what can we do in the moment. And I am a certified breath coach. And one of the things that I'll teach my clients is how they can breathe in those moments to down-regulate themselves. Because when you're angry, your body's going to go into that whole fight or flight. Your reptile lizard brain is going to take over and make you feel like you're in danger. And it may make you feel like you need to fight. It may make you feel like you need to run away. So what is a strategy that you can use to quell that desire to run or freeze or to fight? And breathing is one of those things that I take my clients through and have several strategies and different types of breath that they can use to quell that feeling inside. The other thing that I will say that you can do for your anger is something that I just did the other day, is physical activity, right? I made a post the other day after I did a walk in the morning, and I recommend getting some kind of physical activity because, again, holding these feelings in is doing things within our body, things we cannot see, things that will come back and haunt us later, right? And so I suggest physical activity. I like to exercise in the morning, but sometimes, honestly, after you've had a tough day, it feels good to let off some of that cortisol, to let off, some of that stress, some of that tightness that you feel by going for a walk, going for a run, going to the gym, or just, moving around. Maybe you have an Oculus and you like to play games on your, whatever it is. I recommend physical activities, and that is a science-backed strategy that you can use to help you process your anger and to release some of that stress that you're feeling when you are feeling angry. And then the other thing is constructive communication. I love using techniques from nonviolent communication. And one of the things that I help my clients with is how they can phrase things, templates that they can use when they're in these situations. Look, I love a template, okay? I love a template because when you're in these situations and you get into that fight or flight situation, it's difficult for you to use logic, right? But if you have a template that you have practiced, you know what you can say. And maybe you need to say something to make sure that it's clear how you're feeling, or you need to have a template to get you out of a situation so that you have time to process it and don't say things that can escalate a situation or make things worse. And so constructive communication is also something that I am a big advocate for. But the next thing that I definitely want to talk about is making sure that you know how to embrace your anger, right? When you're silently pissed off, I feel like, and I know from talking to clients, we have a lot of shoulds. We sometimes have this idea that we should be a particular way, and the person that we should be doesn't get pissed off. And it's not realistic. Everyone has some type of anger because, as we've discussed, that anger is tied to other feelings. And we are full human beings. We are not robots. We are not happy all the time. Everything is not always positive. I deal in positive psychology, but positive psychology is not about putting a smile on everything and everything is great, everything. It's about how can we take negative situations and positive situations and make things work for us in the best way possible. And so when you're feeling angry, it's important that some of these things I've talked about, you actually do and process, because it's going to help you embrace that part of you and figure out what you need. That feeling is trying to tell you something. That feeling of anger is trying to tell you that you have some sort of unmet need that needs to be tended to. And so I would definitely advise you to make sure that you are embracing that anger. And again, that does not mean cussing anybody out, right? Unless, I don't know, maybe sometimes it's more. There's been some times in my life where it was warranted, but for the most part, it's not going to get you the results that you need. And it can definitely, as we've seen in several situations, especially for people of color, Black women, Black men, Black children, it can lead you to a situation that puts your life in danger immediately rather than later on. Okay, so we need to find healthy ways to process our anger, and we need to find healthy ways to express our anger. All right, and so if you are dealing with anger, you're dealing with stress, which is making you angry, you're dealing with unmet needs as you are trying to live your life. If you are trying to, have your family, have yourself, have your job, all of these things, if you are struggling with that, then I want to invite you to book a one-on-one conversation with me, book a clarity conversation so we can talk about ways that I can help you. I also invite you to sign up for my newsletter because I send out tips on how to manage your stress, because a lot of work-life balance is really about managing stress. Life is stressful, right? And so we need strategies that are going to keep us from pulling our hair out. It's going to keep us from getting sick later. Because those of you who've been following me, you know that, when I was working as a high school principal, I was making myself sick. I had an eye twitch. I had high blood pressure. I had to be on muscle relaxers because I couldn't move. I couldn't move my neck because I was so stressed, because I was so tense. And we don't want that. I definitely understand what it is to be pushing down your anger and not processing it. And it's going to lead to things that impact the quality of your life. So as women, as Black women, we have got to learn how to process that anger. And to be a good example, if we have kids, we want them to know how to process anger in a healthy way, because it's a cycle. They're watching us. When they get into those teenage years, sometimes we think they're not, but they are. And we're showing them how to live life. And so what are you reflecting back to the people around you? And if you're in a leadership position, what are you reflecting back to the people that you are leading? So I say all that to say, let's go back over what we've talked about in a nutshell. Being angry is killing us. That's the first thing that we talked about. Okay, so if you haven't read that article, I'll link to it in the description, and I'll put it, if you're on Instagram, I have posted about it. You've probably seen it on Instagram. We've talked about what does unleashing your anger look like, and we've said it's not cussing anyone out okay. So what does it look like? And then we've talked about the anger iceberg and how that anger is it's a response to a trigger. And then we need to go down deeper and see what is beneath that, right? And then we've talked about some science-backed tips that I help my clients with. We talked about breathing. We've talked about mindfulness, physical activity, communicating well. We've talked about processing, using a journal to process our feelings, because the body definitely keeps the score. And so, again, I want to invite you to sign up for a clarity conversation if this is something that you're struggling with right now, or to sign up at the link in my bio or the description to follow me, like this video, share this video if this is something that you think would be helpful to some women in your life. That helps my channel, and I hope that it's helping other people as well learn how to process that anger so that they can be healthy and not damage the quality of their life for them and their loved ones. And so that's all for me now. Thank you guys for hopping on live, and leave comments. Let me know if this is something that you're struggling with, or if you have another technique that you use to process your anger. I'd love to hear from you guys, and I will see you next time. Bye.